once you become self-aware, notice that whatever you are thinking in your mind, whatever thoughts that you are recycling and letting linger and letting fester in your mind over and over like a tape recorder, that is the cause of a lot of your realities. Hey y'all, welcome back to Holistic Flow. I am your girl Lolo, and in this video today, I'll be talking about 8 things that you need to know to up your mental game and to start to take control over your life in those areas where you just feel stuck. This is about getting past those barriers, those mental barriers in your mind that just creates that mind fog, and bringing more self-awareness, bringing more mindfulness into your life to start to take control of the things that you feel like are spiraling out of control. Because we are supposed to take autonomy for our own mind, and you can do that. You can take control over your thoughts and not let it be dictated by outside sources, and using these 8 mental laws that a lot of us inherently know, but we just aren't aware of how they already work for us. We can start to, instead of having them work against us, use them to work for us and to benefit ourselves in life, and ultimately to not only benefit us but also benefit the people around us, and use it with a good heart and good intention. So let's get right into it. These are going to be in no particular order. They are just going to all serve together to benefit the betterment of your mental health overall. The first mental law that I have to up your mindset and take control of your life is that what you think upon grows. Another way I like to say it is that wherever your attention goes, energy flows. So whatever you think about, whatever you put emphasis on in your life, whatever you give energy to, that energy will flow back into you. So one of the best examples of this is, you know how you can sort of focus in on different conversations? Like imagine if you're in a room, for example, like a diner, and the diner is so loud, it's so busy. So you're at the diner and you're at the dinner table with about 4 people. All those people are talking at the same time. You hear all the people talking at the same time, but at the same time, you have the choice to listen to that person, or that person number 2 or person number 3, or you can, go back and forth between conversations and choose, but you're selectively hearing what you want to hear. So therefore you're putting energy toward what you are wanting to put energy to. So then once you choose to hear that, then you're going to choose to filter it through your mind or whatever. And that is what you'll get back. So that probably wasn't the best example, but you'll start to seep into your mind the things that you choose to let into your mind. So our mind is like a filter. Whatever we choose to entertain, some of us entertain the BS. Some of us entertain things that trigger us, or respond or put energy towards things that trigger us, not realizing that it's low-key self-sabotage. Right? So just notice that whatever you put emphasis on, whatever you pay attention to, whatever you give credit to, it's going to come back to you. And a lot of us are using this to our advantage, because you got to become aware of what you're starting to feed into. And if you don't want that thing to feed into you like you're feeding into it, then cut it off, stop feeding into it, and it'll stop feeding you. Number 2 is understanding the law of cause and effect. Notice that the things that you think about are the causes, and the realities that come in your life are the effects. Now, this applies in more ways than not. And I know there are things that happen, things that come about in our life that are not our control. Like we didn't wish them upon ourselves. We wouldn't have brought them upon ourselves, even if it was in our subconscious. But a lot of things in our life do happen. Sometimes we won't know what the reason is for those things. And again, we're talking about situations that we feel like are out of our control. But again, becoming more self-aware is the first thing that you definitely want to do. Once you become self-aware, notice that whatever you are thinking in your mind, whatever thoughts that you are recycling and letting linger. Hey y'all, I just want to say a huge thank you, first of all, for being so supportive of my lock journey for the past couple of years. And because you're so supportive, I constantly want to support you all. A lot of you all struggle with finding the right maintenance routine, finding confidence in your journey, and also a community who wants to do the same. And because of that, I've decided to have a 5-day Crown of Confidence challenge to embody your highest self in your lock journey. And I created this challenge to help you boost your self-confidence, embrace your lock journey, and do it with an incredible community of like-minded individuals. The challenge starts Monday, September 25th and ends Friday, September 19th. Throughout, I will post and interact with y'all daily on YouTube and Instagram, and we'll explore self-acceptance, uniqueness, and there will be 2 winners who win a $100 gift card and a free copy of my Mindfulness Blueprint ebook. Here's how you enter. First, scan the QR code on the screen. Second, each day of the challenge that I post something. It could be an emoji or just vent your feelings. And then third, tag a friend who would love to participate in something like this on either Instagram or YouTube. So mark your calendar for this journey and opt into the challenge right here on the screen. And letting fester in your mind over and over like a tape recorder, that is the cause of a lot of your realities. See, a lot of us try to change our mindset, and we try to change our inner feelings and thoughts and emotions by changing outside things. We try to work from outside in, right? So we try to buy things to make us feel better. We try to up our clothing game, or we try to get the latest, shoes, or even catch up on or binge watching TV shows, or we just add other things onto ourselves that are all about the physical, because we spotlight the things that are outside, right? But the things that are outside in the physical realm, those are the effects. Our thoughts is what the causes are. So we're tricking our mind by doing that. We're trying to work from outside in, but it doesn't work like that. Everything manifests from the inside out. So knowing that your mind is the cause, and the physical things, they're just the effects of the cause. They're just the manifestation of the thoughts. They're just the manifestation of the words that you're speaking. All of those things, we need to be more aware of those thoughts that we are replaying. Again, what are we bringing attention to that is unnecessary? And then work from the inside out instead of the outside in. Number 3, this is the law called, if you don't use it, then you'll lose it. Anything that you have, whether it is physical, whether it is like a talent, or whether it is like a mindset, if you don't put that thing into practice, if you don't use what your God-given talent has been, then you'll start to lose privileges or access to that thing. It's kind of like when you've subscribed to something that, for example, you subscribe to like a newsletter or something like that, and you start to subscribe. At first you're really interested in the product or service or whatever that they're advertising to you, but all of a sudden you stop opting in, you start to lose points toward your next reward or whatever, and because that thing is not being used, then you're starting to lose the privileges to it. Here's a better example. You ever been in a cast before? And say your left arm was in a cast. Say you're left-handed. Oh, that's one of the worst things. And then your left arm is in a cast. A couple months goes by and your left arm is still in that cast. You're not really using that left arm as much as your right. So anatomically, your left arm literally starts to shrink. It weighs less than the right arm. It actually is a little bit lighter in color and pigment than the right arm. And the bones and muscles are a lot weaker than the right arm, because if you don't use it, then you lose it. So because of this mental law, it takes a lot of consistent practice on anything in order to maintain that thing. I like to practice yoga a lot. I am very flexible. When I go a week without practicing yoga, after I've been practicing consistently for months every single day, throughout 1 week, if I don't practice at all, it's as if I've gone like 6 months without practicing at all, because my back is hurting, right? My neck and shoulders are really tight. I can barely stretch my calves and whatnot, you know. So when you've trained, even especially when you've trained your body or trained your mind for something, and you've trained your mind to keep that thing up and maintain that thing, when you stop doing that thing, it's actually more detrimental to your health. When you've already trained your body to be accustomed to that thing and then you don't do it, it's more detrimental to your health than someone who has never done it in their life, and they never trained their body or trained their mind to acquire that thing, or to for that thing to be healthy for them, and it doesn't really have an effect on them because they're not trained to do it. But if you have it and you don't use it, then eventually you're going to lose it. And it's going to be more detrimental than not if you have a gift or talent, or some type of intuitive gift or talent, which a lot of us do, and that thing goes to waste. Because when it goes to waste, it like rots. And it's more powerful than someone who has never had that gift or talent, or trained for that, or even if you didn't have to train it for it, never had it, and then if they don't know they have it, then they can't use it to their advantage, right? So if you have it, you want to use it to your advantage. Anything that takes mental practice, anything that takes mental discipline, is a skill that we have to keep working at, and that's even more of an advantage at staying consistent in one particular thing, because consistency is so rewarding. Read your goals consistently. I read my goals every single evening, and I know a lot of people aren't people who read goals, or they're like, you know, my goals could change in a year or two or whatnot. When I tell you that I have a vision board that I look at and every single day, because it's literally up on my wall back there, and because I look at it every single day, even if I don't study it every single day, my subconscious is being programmed because I'm consistently visualizing it. And I promise you, every single year, 90% of my vision board comes true without me even having to do anything. That's the power of manifestation and the subconscious mind when you stay consistent. The fourth law of the mind, in order to become a master manifester, not only that, but to take control over your life, if you're in a downward spiral, is knowing the law of correspondence. That means that the way that we feel that way because of the way that we act, right? So let's put it like this. You don't sing because you're happy. You're happy because you sing. The way that we carry ourselves, the way that we present ourselves, the things that we do to maintain ourselves spiritually, mentally, physically, those are the things that affect the way that we feel. You know, our feelings and our emotions, they don't just come out of thin air. I mean, sometimes it may seem like they do, but oftentimes it's just a buildup of how we choose to present ourselves and show up in the outside space, which is important. Some of us think that we have to like demolish our ego. Our ego is the part of our mind that tells us that we are either, you know, upset or angry, or that we have too much pride or whatnot, and it's largely correlated with our emotions, but there's other things that come into play. But in this case, talking about the ego and emotions, a lot of our emotions, we need those emotions, and we need those self-identifiers. We need those things, those outside things, to have some sort of identification of who we are, because at the end of the day, we live in a human body, and if we don't pay attention to our ego and every physical aspect of ourselves, that is an important part of how we characterize ourselves and our identity. And paying attention to the things that we do to maintain ourselves, upkeep ourselves, and even the hobbies that we do, those are important to our well-being. And it's just like a self-care routine. There's nothing wrong with that, because at the end of the day, our external world, which is what we do physically, is a reflection of our internal world, or it should be, rather. So like all this jewelry that I wear, like I just got a Fitbit for my birthday, you know the way that I dress, the way that I wear my hair, That those things are a reflection of the inside of me. If the external does not match the internal, then you'll feel like a walking contradiction, because what you present to the outside world is not how you feel internally. And so if you feel conflicted about your self-expression or your identification or anything like that, pay attention to the way that you choose to express yourself. And why do you choose to express yourself that way? Because at the end of the day, you don't sing because you're happy. You're happy because you sing. So what are you doing physically to keep yourself feeling like your best self? And that's super important. Number 5, this is key. It's called the law of substitution. This talks about how the way to get more focus, a lot of people think that it is to clear your mind of thoughts, right? But it's not, though. The way that you focus on one thing is that if you're thinking about another thing that you don't want to think about, you then replace that unwanted thought with a thought that you do want. Your mind can only focus on one thing at a time. And I talked about this a lot on a few videos about the subconscious mind and the conscious mind, and that the conscious mind is only like literally 2 to 5% of what we view. So if you stick your thumb out in front and you stick it out and hold it maybe 2 inches from your face, you'll notice that your thumb is in focus, everything else is blurred. So that thumb being in focus represents your conscious mind and everything that your conscious mind can focus on in that one setting. And then your subconscious mind is represented by the blur behind your thumb. Your thumb is only less than 5% of your eye's view. You have your peripheral, which is over here and over there, right? All that is blurred out. Our focus depends on what we choose to focus on. And that goes back to the first law that I talked about. What are you choosing to focus on? What are you choosing to give energy to? When I meditate, I know that meditation is not clearing your mind, because clearing the mind indicates forcing thoughts out. If you're having thoughts that you don't want, if those thoughts are leading to actions that you don't want, you're going to want to replace those thoughts and those actions with other thoughts, because just cutting them out does not work. If you've ever seen, I don't want to use this example, but this is the first thing that literally came to mind. Someone who is having an addiction, and it's such a mental thing. It attaches to your mind that feeling of that belonging or sense of need or fulfillment that you get from indulging in that thing, whatever that addiction is. One of the main coping mechanisms used in therapy or even rehab is to replace whatever that addiction is that is bad for you with something good. Replacement. That's one of the first things that you do. So for example, when somebody's addicted to cigarettes and they want to stop, they chew nicotine gum, or they chew something, or they take their mind off of that thing that they think they need and put it on something else, because it actually works for the mind. So when I meditate, I don't focus on removing thoughts from the mind. I focus on this law of substitution. If I'm having thoughts during meditation that I need to eat my lunch later on the day, or I need to do this, or I need to do that, or I have this meeting, I have that meeting, the way that I quiet that down is I replace that thought with the thought of my breath. And I tell myself to inhale and exhale. And that's the thought I replace it with. It's so simple. So law of substitution, key to your mental discipline. If you can do this, then you can do everything else on this list and start to really take control over your mind. Number 6 is a law of belief. It is pretty much self-explanatory. Whatever you believe with emotion will come to be. Notice that I said with emotion. Whatever you believe with emotion will come to be. You know how they say prayer without works is dead? Well, it's because prayer without belief that thing will work is dead. A lot of people pray with the hope that whatever they're praying about will come to be. But prayer is actually manifestation. It's manifestation in its rarest form, in its most raw, natural form, because whatever you're speaking It's literally you're speaking what you would like to have done, and you're aligning your goals and your alignment and your will with our Creator's will. Whatever that you're wanting, what God wants for you. You're wanting for yourself what the Creator wants for you, which is divine alignment. So when you pray, what you're doing is aligning yourself with what creation wants for you. And that belief that whatever you're praying for, even though you don't see the physical manifestation of it yet, whenever you speak it and whatever you believe that you already have the spiritual equivalent of that physical thing, then the physical thing is soon to come, because it's just floating around in the spiritual realm and we can't see it yet. But that possibility, that physical manifestation, it's already yours to have. It's already yours to have if you are operating in divine alignment. See, a lot of us aren't operating in divine alignment because we're not aligning ourselves with what the Creator wants for ourselves. But that's the best thing that you can do, is to want whatever God wants for you, and then bring it from the spiritual into the physical. So believe it with emotion. Believe it, and then it'll come to you. That's just it. Law number 7, the law of attraction. This is probably the most common law, but a lot of people don't know that the law of attraction is not about opposites attracting. It's about same attracting. Like attracts like. Birds of a feather flock together. You are a sum, literally a sum of the 5 people that you hang around most, and that is not a lie. Whenever you identify with seeing yourself in someone else, you gravitate towards that person. So most of our friends, there are some qualities about them that we probably admire, that we want to be like, that we look up to. And that is, I think that's a very healthy friendship. Now, a lot of people are attracted to things that are out of alignment with themselves. And that's a sign of non-healing, or that's a sign that you are avoiding some part of yourself that you know that you're not being true to. Because when you're being true to those deepest depths of yourself, then you'll start to attract whatever you align with. But if you're not attracting what you're aligning with, if you're attracting something that is manipulative towards you, or you're attracting something that's not good for you, there's something that you haven't come to terms with within yourself, and there's something that you haven't healed from within yourself, because you're turning away from that thing. We attract similar things to us. Like attracts like. So and that goes both ways. Negative attracts negative, and positive attracts positive. So just think about that. All right, the final law here, but this is one of the best ones. It's called the law of compensation. So the law of compensation says whatever you give, you will receive. Right? This is something that all of us inherently know. But the thing is that because some of us aren't in the right heart posture to actually follow through with this, with exactly what the law says, it says, you know, what you give, be prepared to receive, but also how you give it, be prepared to receive it in that same way. So some of us give with the intention that our reason for giving is to get a return. Our reason for giving is we want to put X in and get Y back, like a math equation, but it don't always work like that. Most of the time we don't even get back what we put in when we put it in. Like, we expect it to happen in our time. We expect, first of all, our measurement of what is fair is just off, because we feel like if we give $100, we should receive $100, or if we give 50% effort, then we should receive 50% effort back, right? Because that is what's fair, right? Sometimes because of our ego human brain, we don't even know how to calculate what's fair and what is just, because first of all, life is not supposed to be fair. Life was never supposed to be fair. If life was fair, first of all, everyone would get the same thing, but everyone doesn't need the same thing in order for life to be equitable and suitable for every human being. Some people need more than others because their situation is different. Some people need X amount in this area, and some people need Y amount in this area, and that corresponds to every single thing in our life. So give with no expectation of what you should get back. Yes, give, and be mindful that what you give, you will receive. But let's not take that so literally, because the value that you place in whatever you give might not be the same value that the sender places in what you receive. Sometimes we need to balance out what we even see value in. A lot of people see too much value in $1, but $1 is just an asset. $1 is just something that's supposed to flow. That's why it's called currency. A current flows. It doesn't stay in one place. It don't stay in a bank account. I just want to make that clear. Okay. $1 flows in and out like a river, right? It's supposed to go somewhere else. It's not supposed to be in your hand. You're not supposed to hoard it for the rest of your life. You're supposed to give some things up in order to make room, in order to clear the clutter out of your life and receive something else. So it's not really about giving. It's really about being prepared to receive. Not always having your hand closed, but being open. So with all these mental laws, these are really these are major keys. Actually, these are golden nuggets of how not only you can take or relinquish back control from the outside world or whoever or whatever that you think has a hold on your mind, but also know how to prevent downward spirals, prevent getting hurt, prevent the mistrust, prevent even some traumatic experiences or the response from traumatic experiences, and become more self-aware and more aware of what's happening in the world and how we navigate through it. Just be aware that the way that you respond to every single situation in your life will provide the outcome for that situation. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Let me know what your favorite law was and which one of these was really new to you. Which one of these kind of like sparked some type of dialogue in your mind that you're like, I'm gonna journal on that. I'm gonna think on that a little bit more. Just let me know in the comments down below, and I hope to see you in the next video. But until then, I'm sending peace your way, love your way, and joy to you, your family, and your friends. All right, y'all. Peace.